The 2024 AFL draft soon approaching. I want to have my own go at a full, I think it's a 78 pick mock draft in the end. Yep, 78 picks. And you know, I've done a couple first round mock drafts on my Instagram. I think I've done about 2 now. Just want to sit down, do a full mock draft, see the full talent pool that could be available. There's obviously going to be some players that miss out. But I just want to make it a simple draft. You know, you can see who your club is targeting, who your club could pick up with their picks, you know, who's in that draft range. To make it simple, I'm not going to do any trades apart from one. I'm just going to do Richmond getting pick 2 for pick 6 and pick 10. It's going to go back to the Kangaroos. I would keep it as Kangaroos getting pick 2, but I think they're just going to trade it away in the end. I don't think they're going to keep it, so I might as well get rid of it now. And yeah, we might as well just get straight into the draft. I've got Richmond selecting Sam Laylight and Finn O'Sullivan, pick 1 and 2 back to back. In my opinion, they're just the 2 best prospects in this draft. They'll take them. A lot of rumours that they will be the 2 that it will come down to for Richmond, whether they keep pick 1 and don't get pick 2 or get both. But I think, you know, it makes sense. Obviously, they want to build their midfield of the future. They got Tim Torreno there, obviously. They've got Jacob Hopper. They're both signed up long term. But apart from that, do they really have anyone? They've got Thompson Dow. I don't think he can become a superstar for them, but you know, they're obviously going to focus midfield heavy this draft, at least with their first couple of selections, and I think these are the right choices here. Blues at pick 3, they could have drafted Jagger Smith, but I've got them going Sid Draper. I think they really need speed through their midfield. Obviously, Sam Walsh is a pretty speedy player. They picked him up about 7 years ago now, maybe, like, what was it, 2018 draft. So he's getting towards the prime of his career, but apart from Sam Walsh, do they really have any speedy midfielders? They've got Patrick Cripps, he's a bull. They've got Adam Chera, not the fastest bloke. They've got George Hewitt, plays halfback sometimes, but he's not that fast. Blake Acres, pretty fast, but he's a winger. He's not an inside mid. I wouldn't expect Draper to start the year in the Blues midfield. If he was going to start round 1, it'd probably be half forward. But, you know, later in the year, he could definitely move into that midfield rotation and help them push towards not only that finals spot, but that like grand final spot that they've been trying to break into for the past 2-3 years now. And at pick 4, I've got Brisbane. They're going to match the bid on Levi Ashcroft. Obviously, there's no reason they wouldn't match the bid. In my opinion, best player in the entire draft, not just the open draft. But it's going to cost them 28, 35, 43, 73. Like, bargain for them, let's be honest here. 28, 35, 43 to get the best player in the draft and 73 back. After coming off a premiership, not bad. Then the Crows here. Jagger Smith, again, I could have gone him. I'm going to go Harvey Langford. I think Harvey Langford, 190 centimetres, kicks goals, can move forward if you need him to. I think he'd work nicely in that midfield with Dawson, Laird if they want to keep him there. I think he probably moves back. They brought in Peatling this off-season. Who else do they have? Rochelle runs through there. Keys could run through there. They've definitely got another one I'm forgetting. Crouch, obviously. I think Langford, I think they need definitely a midfielder with this pick. I don't see them like trading out and grabbing a key position player. But then at pick 6 with the Demons, just a layup pick here. Jagger Smith, best prospect available. You've got to take him. Could take a key position player here. But I think with Jagger Smith on the board, I think he's fallen to you. I think you just grab him here. Pick 7, North Melbourne. This is the pick they got from Richmond, obviously. Got them taking Alex Taru. In my opinion, he's probably the best key defender in this draft. But he's also a swingman. Could go forward if they really needed it, but I don't see it. Does he play round 1 next year? Maybe. Like, their key position stocks are really in the dumps right now. Like, obviously they got Larkey, Darling as forwards, Charlie Comben, Toby Pink. They delisted him today, but they're going to re-rookie him as I'm recording this video. And who else do they have? They've also got forgetting his name, Aiden Core. Is he really a key back you want in 2 years? Probably not. definitely want Alex Taru. They've also got some young guys they drafted last year. Then at pick 8 and pick 9, I've got the Suns bidding on Leo Lombard and Essendon bidding on Isaac Kako respectively. I think as a St Kilda fan, obviously we've been very vocal as a club about how we believe clubs should pay the fair price for the players they're matching bids on. I think we're going to have some fun with that. I think we're going to force both Gold Coast and Essendon to match their bids very high in this draft. I think this is probably Lombard's range anyway, but Kako, obviously Essendon traded out that pick 9 to Melbourne. I think he'll end up going here. If Kako was in the open draft, maybe he's like a pick 15 in my opinion, but if you're Essendon, you're definitely not mad at it that you gotta take this pick. Just for the gaining and loss there. So when you match the bid, obviously you gotta give up the draft picks. Might look a bit confusing with the Lions grabbing pick 73 and then also like Essendon grabbing pick 73. That's just because obviously when the draft picks resolve that they're dissolved that they're losing. Obviously pick 73 for the Lions goes up and the Bombers will now get the new pick 73, if that makes it any less confusing. Pick 10 now, Saints. I'm going Josh Smiley. Obviously they want their midfielders. Talked about a lot. They want to draft 2 midfielders in this draft if they can. So I've gone going Josh Smiley here. I think just a no-brainer, sort of like Melbourne's pick, just a layup. You've got to take this player. Then we pick 11, Toby Travaglia. This is one I've seen a couple people go with, but not many. I think if you look at our list build the past couple of years through the draft and free agency, we've targeted really speedy players, and if we're going to draft Smiley, who's this big bull, models his game after Patrick Cripps, I think we're going to want to go with speed with our next pick. Midfielders are like Murphy, Reid, Beau Allen are on the board, but do they fit our team? Necessarily not. And then pick 12, I've got the Demons grabbing Harry Armstrong, again another layup pick. I think they just grabbed this guy here. Makes a lot of sense. They'll be able to play him next to Fritsch and Van Ruin, both medium style forwards, 190 something. And then Matthew Jefferson, he's a development key forward they have. He'll probably get a game next year, hasn't debuted yet, but I think he's one that Melbourne fans would be looking forward to. Pick 13 now, I've got North Melbourne grabbing Luke Trainer. Some concussion issues, especially at the start of the year, but I think no matter what, North Melbourne will probably take Trainer. Look, they probably would have preferred Armstrong with this pick, but I think you just got to take the best key position players there are. He was linked to North Melbourne a lot through the year, like at pick 2, like a lot of early mock drafts had them taking Trainer at pick 2. And grabbing at pick 13 is not bad. I wouldn't be surprised if clubs try and trade up to this pick if he's still on the board. Murphy Reid as well, he's probably fallen a bit. A lot of people rank him in that top 10, but in my opinion, 8 through, 14, I don't think any of those clubs are really looking at Murphy Reid as a viable option. So Richmond get him here. Now they've got their midfield of the future. Fino, Sullivan, Sam Layla, Murphy Reid. Still got Tim Turner on the list like I mentioned. Then pick 15, the Eagles. So they've traded back a really long way from what would have ended up being like pick 3, what it originally was. Wouldn't have been any bids before it, I believe. I've got them picking up the local prospect, Beau Allen. I think it just makes sense. The only criticism I would have is that they're going very tall in their midfield, like Beau Allen, I think he's 189, 190. Ruben Jinby's pretty tall, but he sort of moved half back. Elijah Hewitt, first round midfielder they picked up a while, I think it was like 2 years ago, he's pretty tall. Obviously Harley Reid, medium size, sort of on that taller end of a midfielder. So are they going too tall with their midfield? Would they take a smaller midfielder here? Would they go for a Taj Houghton? Maybe, but I really don't see it when the local prospect is on the board. Obviously that go home factor is just wiped off, and that's obviously been big for the Eagles in the past couple of years. Then Port Adelaide at pick 16. I've got them going Jobe Shanahan. Now, Joe Berry is still on the board. Xavier Lindsay's still on the board here, but I think Jobe Shanahan's the right option. He's the next best key position player, and I think that's something Port Adelaide will target. Obviously, Dixon's left the club. Dan Houston left the club, but he's not like a key position player. But Todd Marshall's had a lot of concussion issues. And my big reason for drafting Job Shanahan is because Ollie Lord, like, I think Port fans have massive like hopes for Ollie Lord, but been rumours of him leaving the club. He was going to Geelong 2 years ago. He was going to Collingwood and Melbourne this year. I think his contract's up this year. It's a contract year for him. It wouldn't surprise me if he left the club. So grab Shanahan. It could be your next best forward of the future, especially because I don't see Todd Marshall as your first option. I think he works better as a second option. Docker's here. Xavier Lindsay, just a really nice, clean, good ball user. You'd probably look to play him on the wing. You'd probably play him and Sharp on your wings. Is an ideal scenario for Fremantle. Does he start in their best team next year? Maybe he did end off the year with an injury, Lindsay. I don't think that really affects him too much and his draft stock. Pick 18, Brisbane are popping up again. Sam Marshall from the Dragons and their academy. He really impressed. His draft stock jumped up heap through the Coast Talent League finals, and his grand final, he was either best on ground or second best on ground to Levi Ashcroft. So that tells you about what Brisbane are getting here, but great prospect for them, and you can't hate it if you're a Brisbane supporter. With the Giants here at pick 19 and 20, not really sure what their draft strategy is. They lost a lot of players. They lost Perryman, Cumming, Peatling, Wade Derrickson wanted to leave, Xavier Halloran wanted to leave, but they did end up leaving. The Canes left, obviously. Really, Peatling, Cumming, and Perryman were the only best 23 players there. So what's their draft strategy? I don't really know. So I've got him taking Taj Houghton, was supposed to be a top 5 prospect this year. Did his ACL, I believe, so missed most of the year. So he's a steal at pick 19 when you think about it. I think if he does get to pick 19, pick 20, it wouldn't surprise me if like the Saints jump up or Richmond jump up. Try and grab him. Then with pick 20, I've got him grabbing Matt Whitlock. In my opinion, probably the better Whitlock brother. I think he can play key back and key forward, where I think Jack can only play key forward. That's just my opinion. But yeah, back up, obviously Dirksen wanted to leave, as I mentioned before, so need a key position player to replace him if he does choose to leave next year when he's out of contract. Pick 21. Bulldogs are very happy with this pick. In my opinion, it's a steal. And Joe Berry, small forward, you'd play him next to Waitman. Obviously, a lot of key position players sort of in this part of the draft, sort of 20 to 30. A lot of key position players will go, and you look at their list, they don't need them. Ugle-Hagan, Norton, Lobb, Darcy, Keith just retired, but they got Jones in that back line, and that's something I'll address, the Keith's retirement later. Joe Berry makes sense. Then Richmond jump back in, pick 22, grab the other Whitlock brother Jack. I think they'll sort of focus on key defender, not a key defender, but a key forward here with this pick. I don't think they want to go entirely just midfielders. And the Swans jump in. I think they really need key forward. You look at their final series. Amadi was pretty quiet. McDonald was quiet. Obviously they lost Buddy, but it's not their fault. Ideally, I think they want to grab a Whitlock brother here, especially because they could play him down back if they need. But I think Jonty Fall, you're definitely not passing him up if he's here. Richmond are going to jump in, and even though I said they need key position players, I think Cooper Hines here is a steal. Surprised he didn't, like the Bulldogs could pick him up, potentially the Giants could. I've mocked him a lot to the Giants, but I think he falls a bit here, and I think they're pretty happy with that. He also can play on that forward line, which we saw through the Coast Talent League. Then Giants jump back in with their third pick. They're going to take Tom Gross here as a midfielder. Again, I'm not really sure what their draft strategy is, so I've just gone taking best available. The Swans here, they're going to take Jesse Totoli. Again, another one I'm iffy on. Like, they lost Constanti, and considering he's the last small forward they took in the first round, do they really want to take another one? Probably not, but I think best available, just grab him. And then Richmond, with the end of the first round, they're going to grab Alex Dodson, the ruckman out of South Australia. Does he play this year? Maybe. He's definitely not the starting ruckman, but I think, he'll be able to work next to Nank. I think Nank will help his development a lot. Round 2 is pretty short in this draft because a lot of the teams that match bids in the first round, a lot of their picks fall in the second round. So with pick 28, Richmond, I think this is their last pick of the draft. I've got him taking Harry Oliver, running defender, can play that Rioli role. He won't play it as well as Rioli did this year, considering one of their best and fairest, but I think he'll play it well. Christian Moraes, pick 29 to the Bulldogs. I think Moraes is probably the best available midfielder here, and obviously midfield depth is something they've looked at. They tried bringing in O'Halloran, obviously traded out McRae, obviously traded out Smith. They were targeting a bunch of mids this year. I think they were targeting Peeling as well. So they obviously see midfield as a need. I think that's something they can target this draft. And the Eagles, I think they keep the theme going of targeting WA prospects. And Kaylee Garrett is a prospect who has sort of jumped up my board a lot towards the end of the year. Can play ruck, also a key forward. So, if Oscar Allen goes down, we saw that this year. Oscar Allen was injured towards the start of the year. He is an option you could look at playing, but I think it's definitely waffle year 1 for him. Then the power, I haven't grabbed an Angus Clark from Glenelg. Defender, so he probably doesn't replace Houston this year. I think, you got Sin, you got Lockie Jones for that. But SA prospect, can't go wrong with it. Go home factor again eliminated, and Doc is here. I've got him grabbing Hamish Davies from Claremont. Davies is sort of like a third tall forward, so if he does play this year, I think it works well. Is he better than Bailey Banfield and Patrick Voss? Probably not right now. I think you'd rather play Banfield and Voss right now, but in the future I think Davies, and then you plug him next to Tracy and Amiz. I think that works really well in Fremantle's forward line. Then with St Kilda, I've gone grabbing Ollie Hannaford from GWV Rebels, small forward. Sort of a position we need to look at. Could look at taking Thomas Sims, who goes to Hawthorn with pick 35, and I'll touch on that in a couple of seconds, but I think we can grab some key position players late and grab a small forward here. Then with the Hawks, like I said, they're going to grab Thomas Sims. Thomas Sims, he can play in the ruck, so obviously Meek and Chol was sort of the ruck duo they had, so Thomas Sims, he's probably more that lead up forward, move up the ground, and then Mitch Lewis, when he's healthy, he can stay back in the goal square forward 50. Then with the Bulldogs here, so this is what I was talking about with the Alex Keith retirement. I think they will grab a key position player. Obviously at this point in the draft there's a lot, and I think Harry Farrell is probably the best key defender. Noel Mraz is still on the board, but I think this works here and probably doesn't play next year, the year after. Obviously they got players like Jed Buslinger, hasn't played a game, Liam Jones and Rory Lobb in that backline, so 2-3 years of development, but I think he'll be a good player for the Bulldogs. Pick 36, I've got the power bidding on Ben Camprioli. Obviously the Blues are going to match this bid. They've sort of fallen down draft boards. I remember at the start of the year everyone thought that him and Lucas were going to be really high up, but 36 seems to be about Ben's range, and then Lucas could potentially go undrafted and get a rookie list spot. I think no matter what, they'll both end up on the list. And then with pick 37, I've gone grabbing Charlie Nichols as a key forward. So again, they're addressing that key forward depth, key position depth that I think they do need to address. And then Giants here, I've gone direct bidding on Logan Smith. I don't think they're going to want to pay the price for him. And then you'll see why. I've got him grabbing a pretty good player that I think will slide a bit in the draft. But obviously Academy Ruckman, train him up to potentially overtake Briggs. And then with the last pick of the second round, the Bombers get their first pick after the Kako bid. Got him grabbing James Barrett. He's another player, like he's sort of a utility, so he could be a key forward if they wanted him to. Key forward is probably something the Bombers need to address. Peter Wright hasn't been great this year. And then obviously Kelly retired down down the back, so I think a utility is a great option here for the Bombers. Starting off round 3, I've got the Swans taking Jack Oof out of GWV Rebels. I think just some midfield depth can help. They've got a couple players in that midfield that can't even get games right now. Angus Clark is a big one. He can't get a game. Braden Campbell is one who's been subbed a couple times, but Jack Off, just add to that midfield depth, will really help. And then with the Cats, I've got them grabbing Lockie Jacks out of Geelong. I think it just makes sense. Grab the Geelong boy. And then Bombers here, Jasper Algiers, small forward. This is one I've seen Bomber fans talk about this a lot. I think a structure would sort of make sense of like a, 4 small medium forwards, and then Peter Wright as your full forward and Kyle Langford as your centre half forward. I think Jasper Algier could add to that. Wouldn't surprise me if they did draft him. He'd grab a couple games this year, probably closer to the end of it, but just have to wait and see. And the Saints here, I've got him grabbing Noah Mraz, probably the best key defender left on the board. In my opinion, we sort of need a key defender, obviously, to replace Battle. Is Mraz ready-made? Not really. I wouldn't expect him to play a game this year, but we've obviously lost Battle. We've delisted James Van Ness. We've delisted Matthew Ellison. Tim Embry, we delisted him, so we sort of have a need for these key position players. So I think we will grab one, whether it's with our second or our third or our fourth pick. Then with pick 44, Bulldogs again, I've got them grabbing Josh Dolan. Just more midfield depth, more he can play forward as well if they really needed him to. Then the power, I've got them doing back-to-back bids. So I've got Joel Cochran from Sydney's Academy as a key defender. So he won the 2K time trial, so that shot him up draft boards a lot. And then I've got them bidding on Saints NGA prospect Adrian Cole. Probably one of the better lockdown defenders in this draft class from what I'm hearing. Then I've got the power, they're then going to take Jasper Algier as that small forward, add that to that list of, Willie Rioli, Joe Richards, Darcy Byrne-Jones. I'm probably forgetting one. They've probably got another small forward there. I'm trying to think if I remember his name. I can't right now, but that's one I think they'll look at. Then the Pies, a lot of Pies fans talk about how they really just need to focus on key position talent here. I think that's what they'll do. I think they'll grab Clancy Dennis out of Claremont. WA prospect is that go home factor. I don't think that's something the Pies need to worry about. At pick 48 here. Bombers, I've got them grabbing Bailey McKenzie, sort of that medium forward. Then I've got the Bombers bidding on Cody Anderson. Hawks are going to match that. Midfielder out of Eastern Rangers. And I've got the Bombers taking wing Patrick Rochesko out of Oakley. I think it just makes sense. I'm just trying to think what were Essendon's wingers this year. Maybe Ben Hobson, inside midfielder. Honestly, couldn't name them. They're probably obvious. But next up, I've got the Pies bidding on Lennox Hoffman, and then St Kilda will match that. Medium defender had a really good final series for the Dragons, in my opinion. And with pick 53, I've got Collingwood grabbing Floyd Burmeister out of GWV Rebels. Ruck forward option, I'm trying to think, they're ruckmen, so obviously Darcy Cameron. He's a lot older than I thought he was. He's about 28, 29. And then I think their backup right now is Oscar Steen. They've obviously got Cox, but I think this is Cox's last year. And then with pick 54, I've got the Giants picking up Archer Day Wicks. So he's probably fallen a little bit in this draft, but I think the Giants would like his value here, and I think this is important to why they direct bid on Logan Smith with pick 38. Pick 55, I've got the Cats taking Riley Bice. I think it just makes sense. Obviously, when you look at the last player they drafted out of Westfield Tigers, and then yeah, makes sense why they do it. Then Pies, pick 56, Gabriel Stump. I think he's just the best key forward option. They obviously need the key forwards, like I said, key position players. Grab him, makes sense. Then the Lions, I think they'll take a shot on Josh Murphy here. I think it just makes sense. Obviously you're looking at that key forward, that Joe Danaher replacement. Do I expect him to play this year? No, but as a development piece, I think it works. Beginning the fourth round now, I've got North Melbourne grabbing Don Brew out of Werribee. I think he won the Brownlow equivalent in the VFL this year. I don't think he won the Norm Smith equivalent, but was very good on grand final day when wherever he won. Adds that leadership. Obviously North Melbourne, you look at their focus in the trade period, they were trying to add a lot of veterans, a lot of experience. They added Darling, Daniel, Parker. I think bring in Brew. Does he play? Maybe not, but he'll add leadership to that team. Then a couple direct bids here. I've got the Blues direct bidding on Lucas Camprioli. I think it makes sense just to draft him. And then I've got the Crows direct bidding on Tyler Welsh. Another bid here, Malachi Champion. He's probably one that slid a bit, but I think it probably makes sense that the Eagles will have to match a bid at some point. Now I've got the Bombers taking Zach Johnson at midfielder out of the Northern Knights. And then I've got Brisbane passing at 63. Dockers grabbing Xavier Ivasic out of Geelong Falcons, so he's sort of that midfielder winger type. Then I've got the Blues passing with 65 and 66. Got the Suns picking up Sam Davidson. He's one I think could get picked up sooner or through the rookie draft if he doesn't get picked up. But I think he'll definitely be on an AFL list next year. Then we got a series of passes from the Blues, Eagles, Giants, Suns, Cats, Blues and Suns. I've just got the Bombers direct bidding on Jaden Newen here. And then Lions, Suns passing again. So that's the rest of the mock draft. So that's it all done. Obviously there'll be a lot of changes on draft night. There'll be a lot of live trades. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is sort of the first time I've really worked on doing a full mock draft. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like the video, subscribe if you enjoy the content, and yeah, I might try and make one closer to draft night when we have a lot more insight into what teams might be looking at. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video.